Inistioge in County Kilkenny has caught the imagination of many filmmakers in the past because of its outstanding beauty. On this soft spring weekend, the inhabitants of the sleepy little village seem happy to have their tempo of life quite dramatically increased as the Dunlop Hillclimb Championship comes to town.
We associate Irish motorsport with Mondello Park and the Phoenix Park, but today we're in Inistioge in County Kilkenny for the first round of the Dunlop Hillclimb Championship. 12 times a year the sport leaves the city and the pure amateurs have their day on the hills.
120 drivers have turned up to brave the elements, including a very welcome party of hill climbers from Wales.
And along with yourself, Bob, how many visitors from Wales?
There's 5 of us all together.
5 of you all together. Good party tonight?
We're going to be in the pub tonight.
Good boy.
There's 5 pubs in the village and we've done 2, we've got 3 to go.
Cindy Pearce, another one of our Welsh visitors, but Cindy, you've been in the wars today.
Yes, I had an argument with a straw bale.
This is halfway up the hill. This is for safety to slow you down, you just didn't see it?
Kind of. Nerves, first race.
This is your first time to race this car or to hill climb it?
First time ever in the car.
Well, I have to say, did you do all the damage?
No, Clive done a bit as well.
So it's 1-1 at the moment.
Yeah.
Clive is a very trusting man as he shares his rover with Cindy. And despite her little brush with the bales, she has climbed the saturated hill within 4 seconds of her boyfriend's time on her first competitive event.
And yet another Welshman, this time Mike Griffiths, but taking part in what class, Mike?
In the classic class, yeah.
And this is what, a Lancia Fulvia?
It's a Lancia Fulvia HF 1600.
What year was this made?
This was made in 1973 and it's a replica of the Group 4 Works Rally car. This was the car that Lancia used to win the RSE Rally and the World Championship a few times.
Do you take part in hill climbs in Wales? You do, I suppose?
Yes, take part in hill climb sprints. And we also sponsor this year's Welsh Championship.
Simon Bridge has brought his historic V8-powered TVR Griffin from Wales. But the fastest man from the Principality is James Belton, who gets to the top of the hill in his beautiful little motorcycle-engined Megapin in 56 seconds. He's the winner of Class 5 and 8th fastest overall. It may be the top drivers who get the attention, but this is club motorsport and life can be just as intense in a battle for your class honours as it can be amongst the fastest climbers. Class 1 for saloons and GTs with engines up to 1650cc is won by Wexford driver Des Byrne in his Sunbeam, who climbs fast enough to get into the top 10. His Clare rival, Ger Dwayne, was actually faster on the Saturday runs, but on Sunday he's beaten by 0.4 of a second. Let's now get a first-hand taste of the Inistioge experience from inside this fantastic little lightweight Maguire Mini. Ger's Sunday time is 78.29 seconds. Excellent when you consider that Ger is still getting used to this little rocket, which climbed so successfully when it was owned by Carl Cleary. We're on one of the very fast sections of the hill now, coming to the first chicane. Down through the gears, daren't touch one of those straw bales because they're full of water and absolutely solid. Now, a tricky left-hander. Fighting for grip. Front wheel drive, of course, up through the gears and heading for the second chicane. Safely through that one, but no time to rest. Here's the third. And now take a deep breath, because we're going to sweep right, left and right again before the finish of the hill climb. Another Wexford man, Larry Bradley, takes third place in Class 1, driving his Opel Manta 400 right to the limit. And sometimes a little beyond it, it would seem. And here's another local hero in Class 2 for the larger saloons and sports cars. David James is well known in rallying circles, and his spectacular sideways style endears him to all. But it's not all show, as David wins his class by over a second and a half, and he's amazingly in 5th position overall up in Inistioge. Peter McGinley is closest to the Wexford favourite. The Dubliner flies to take 6th overall and 2nd in his class. And here's some more Irish-Welsh cooperation. The car's a Davrian built in Wales, but the driver's from County Tyrone, Seamus Morris. And he powers the car to the top of the hill to take 3rd in his class in his very pretty motor car. One car dominates the Fiat Fun, with veteran Des Cullen sharing the ritmo with Tony Murta to take 1st and 2nd in their respective class. And here's another we can hitch a ride with. Maurice Cassidy has kindly invited us aboard his fabulous Class 4 winning V8 rover engined MGB GT, and we growl up Inistioge. Morris will end up just 0.26 seconds ahead of his nearest rival in the historic class. And when that rival turns out to be his son Frank Cassidy, there's real honour at stake. You can imagine the conversations around the Cassidy dinner table. Over 300 horsepower now, coming down the long straight. Very hard to get a machine like this stopped for the chicane. Flick it through. Now more straw bales ahead. Oh, it was close, that one. And then the final fight with this big, powerful machine through these corners. And boy, is he fighting. That's that one over, but his son prefers front-wheel drive. Frank looks as if he could buy and sell anyone up the hill, except his father. 1275 cc's versus V8 power, even in these conditions, is no contest. But hill climbing is not all about winning. It's wonderful just to have a go in something special, like Frank Nuttall's Graham Ford, a Ford special that was built in Belfast by Tommy Graham in the early days of racing at Kirkeston. As we have seen, the swift Welshman James Bolton dominated the 1600 Libre class, with Wexford's Michael Roach taking 2nd in his Formula Spartan car. Another local, Peter Dwyer, is 3rd in the Formula Ford Van Diemen, and I can tell you from experience, it's a rough ride up an Irish hill in a Formula Ford in these conditions. Steve Beckham from Pembroke takes 4th in this hotly contested class. But Charlie Norton's Super Sports will not last the course. And the U2 glides to a halt near the top of the hill. Drowned out electrics, we would expect. Charlie's day is over, but not that stalwart Mortar Loughlin from County Clare, the epitome of the amateur club racing driver.
We've heard of McLaren, we've heard of Ferrari, and of course Jordan Racing, but the famous team of all from the west of Ireland is Team Burren Racing. Tell us about that.
It's the only single-seater racing team west of the Shannon. Mortar Loughlin, PJ Vaughan, and of course without the great Pádraig Ford to back us up for the mechanical end of it, we wouldn't have succeeded. We help a lot of new drivers, young drivers, John McNamara, Pádraig Ford Jr. and others that want to get in. I don't think we'll ever win any Formula 1s or any great championships, but we enjoy it.
John McNamara's Crosley 2000 is heading for trouble. Fortunately, the damage is not as bad as it looks, and the Clare driver records a good enough time in the third run to win the class. Northern Ireland Hillclimb champion Robert Woodside was fastest on Saturday, but the fill beam is proving to be a bit fragile for Inistioge, and Robert calls it a day after his second suspension failure. And so to the Rainmasters on this very wet weekend. Wexford's Dick Bailey in the Dax Turbo finishes 9th overall after a fairly miserable day out in the elements. The 350 brake horsepower four-wheel drive car records a time of 76.12 seconds. Brave. Now for the main protagonists in the 1998 Dunlop Hillclimb Championship. Limerick's Donald Griffin is very much in control of his Formula Opel. He's third fastest in the first run, but he's pipped to fourth on the final run. Pádraig Ford is also in the hunt.
What have you got in the back of this one?
It's a Rover, it's a John Eels Rover 3.9.
What sort of power has that got?
Somewhere around 340.
340 in the wet, can't be anything but hairy.
I'm only using quarter throttle today.
Quarter throttle?
I'm afraid to use any more.
So you're looking forward to it drying up?
Oh, I am, yeah. I'd like a nice dry day because I can really let it out then, you know. But it's hard to do anything with this on a day like today.
Pádraig gets quicker all day, taming the Scott Climber and that V8 power to improve on Donald Griffin's time by 1.44 seconds.
You use the wet weather setup of the car, the wet weather tyres that get maximum grip through the water. And my car in particular is very good in the wet, so I'm quite happy driving in the wet.
Jenny Kennedy, the first woman to become an Irish Hill Climb champion, puts in a flyer on the third run to take second fastest time of the day at 71.07 seconds, 0.53 faster than Ford. So the champion has it all to do. With Woodside retired, Maybin is very much in command, and he sets fastest time on all three runs in his Vauxhall engine Delta. So Ronnie Maybin, for the second year running, is the master of Inistioge with a time of 66.62 seconds, 4.05 seconds quicker than anyone else.
I really enjoyed it, and I have to say a big thank you to the Wexford Motor Club and all their organisers, especially the marshal who stood out in the rain. A big thank you to them all, and say I really enjoyed it very much indeed.